So I did get a message from a guy. This is why I was asking Crystal if it was the same person who messaged you, because they were watching one of these videos and they said, hey, I'm not on the calls, but I did encounter this. And so he's not, I think here, he didn't reply to my last message. So I thought I'd ask you guys if you encountered this or not. He was saying that they were unable to bookmark search pages. And he was worried. He said it's a bug that's persisted for several days, and he was worried that like bookmarking search was going to be broken.
What browser was he using?
He said he used multiple Yes, it seemed like a
LinkedIn
pretty.
shouldn't be able to control that.
Yeah, I don't know. So I haven't experienced it. I was curious if any of you all have experienced that at all.
Do you mean by that save the URL when you say bookmark? Because there's different ways of bookmark just saves the URL, right?
So the bug that he was encountering multi-browser for several days was you could not load a saved URL where all of the filters are built into the search URL, and then it loads it for you. That was.
I've had that same problem. I had to build them from scratch again.
Oh, did you? Was that recently, Mike, or is that when they?
Yeah, recently in the last week. It's happened to me at least maybe 3-4 times with clients.
I'm wondering if they just changed.
I think the URL changed somehow. Perhaps there's some URL thing in it that changed. These URLs I save are more than a page of text with all the Boolean and the includes and the excludes and stuff. They go on to a second page, many of them, when I paste them into a Google Doc. They're that big.
Yeah, for sure.
Isaac, what I thought it was maybe that the Boolean, there were new restrictions on how many characters you can have in a paragraph or in a Boolean or an exclude or something.
Yeah, he was saying he was saying that they tried doing just a couple of Boolean as well, and he was having the same problem.
Okay, so he's saying it's not that he can't bookmark it, it's just that when he goes to reuse the URL, it doesn't actually run the search.
It doesn't load.
You get one of those, it's us. This is the problem is us, sort of, 404 pages.
Mike, in terms of Boolean on the free level, I have run into, actually for a couple of years now, that there's a limit on how complex a Boolean search can get on the free level.
You get 5 operators.
Yeah, so that I have run into at the free level, but I have noticed in Sales Navigator, if you click on a saved search, you have to edit the search to get all of the search variables to reload into the URL. If you wanted to grab it again for some reason, but no, actually here I'm playing around to see what what happens.
Yeah, no, you're totally right.
So one of the things I did, Isaac, in this process is I went through the big, huge Booleans I had, and I weeded out stuff that I didn't think was very likely to happen. And I made smaller paragraphs when I rebuild these things. I'm not even putting the whole same stuff in. I'm making it smaller anyway. We'll put in some excluded titles like, traffic controller and stuff. Because when we're looking for controllers, we're not looking for traffic controllers. And I keep that in there even when I'm not looking at any aviation stuff. You know what I mean? That's specific to aviation, So I shrunk them down by about half, and they seem to be taken. I didn't try the whole big jalopy.
If they're using Sales Navigator, I just realized this too. If you look at the URL, if you are using your Sales Nav account to do research for someone, and then you want to share the search results with like your client or whoever else, in the URL baked in, there are 2 things in there. It says and RS ID and then and session ID, I think, or RS and RS log and then and session ID. And I have encountered in the past, if you don't delete that from the URL and you share the URL in Sales Nav, then it has broken for me.
Yeah, you have to pull those out.
Oh, okay. Wow. I've not run into that.
I have not, but I can totally picture that.
Yeah, and then I kind of just do that as a best practice, anyways, just because if it's
you show us
logging ID, I want to remove any tracking just to be safe. Yeah, I'll show you here.
I'd really like to see that. Yeah, is that it?
That's what I cut out. Yeah.
Okay, got it. Cool.
Yeah, so I drop it in a text editor and I do a search for and RS log or whatever, and then I delete that.
And that and the session ID. I see 2 ands there. So you got the as RS log, and then the search session ID, and that's it. Those two.
Yep. I don't know what RS log ID is. I have no idea. Is anybody here pro at this kind of stuff? What would RS log ID?
Can you take that out and open an incognito window and paste it in and see how? No, you can't really.
No.
You have to be logged into an incognito window anyway, right? Okay.
Right.
Well, that's helpful.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I'll message that gentleman who asked me, because I didn't even think about that, if they're using Sales Nav, but he said he sounded like he was doing so. It's kind of a thing. All right, cool.